it involves Thames Valley Police, who have said that they're assessing claims concerning Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in regard to the alleged sharing of confidential data when he was a trade envoy. There has been a statement from Buckingham Palace which says the King has made clear in words and through unprecedented actions his profound concern at allegations which continue to come to light in respect of Mr Mountbatten-Windsor's conduct. While the specific claims in question are for Mr Mountbatten-Windsor to address, if we are approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them, as you would expect. As was previously stated, Their Majesties' thoughts and sympathies have been and remain with the victims of any and all forms of abuse. Let's speak now to our royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills, who is in Riyadh on that visit with Prince William. And, we had that statement from William this morning, and now a statement from Buckingham Palace, which says that they stand ready to, if approached by Thames Valley Police, to support them. And also making this point that, the specific claims in question are for Mr Mountbatten-Windsor to address.
This is huge, and I have to say it does feel seismic. In the last 6 months or so, we have, of course, got used to statements being released by the palace and being more upfront, if you like, when it comes to Andrew and how he's been embroiled in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. We had 2 last year, the second of which the King completely stripped his brother of his titles and of his home. But the fact that you now have the royal family specifically saying, when they come to addressing the issues that Thames Valley Police are looking at the moment, the palace saying, we stand ready to support them as you'd expect, is just quite an extraordinary statement. The fact that it's also come as Prince William embarks on a hugely important trip on behalf of the UK government, trying to cement relationships here in Saudi, that in itself says so much about this statement. When royals are on tour, nothing is done to distract from the important business they're doing on behalf of the UK government. And the fact that Buckingham Palace have now felt the need to put out another statement regarding Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, responding for the first time to the latest release of the Epstein files, is absolutely extraordinary. In some ways, not entirely surprising, though, when it comes to that ongoing distraction that this has continued to be for members of the royal family. The King, again today, out and about, trying to draw attention onto the community of Lancashire, the work that's going on there. And instead, that was again completely overshadowed by the fact that he was shouted at from the crowd. What did you know about Andrew and Epstein? It happened last week when I was on another visit with the King when he was in Essex. This has all become too much of a distraction. They were hoping that by stripping him of his titles, by moving him out of that home on the Windsor estate, it would be enough to move away from it. This statement shows that it simply is not the case, that they can ignore it. And this, to me, does feel like a new chapter when it comes to communication from the royal family. In the past, I think they would have tried to ignore this, but the amount of detail and information that has been exposed in these recent Epstein files means that they simply cannot ignore it. And that is why you had a statement both from the Prince and Princess of Wales this morning, and now this amazing, extraordinary statement that's coming from Buckingham Palace, saying that while the specific claims in question are for Mr Mountbatten-Windsor to address, if we're approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them as you'd expect.
Yeah, and Rhiannon, just on that point, where it says, while the specific claims in question are for Mr Mountbatten-Windsor to address, do you get the sense that that is the palace or that is the King urging him to do just that? Because, of course, he hasn't really addressed the specific claims other than by this sort of blanket denial of wrongdoing.
And you know what? I think you have hit the nail on the head. That has been the difficulty for the royal family. This morning we had the statement from the Prince and Princess of Wales saying that they've been deeply concerned, thoughts with the victims. We've heard that message loud and clear, that the palace stand by the victims in this. But there's constantly been this question of, well, what exactly are the family saying to Andrew? Are they encouraging him to speak to the authorities? And as we've seen those files released, and of course we've been showing you more and more details as the days have gone on in terms of the allegations against Andrew, the noise around the fact that people believe he should speak to the authorities, even as a witness, even to explain what he saw, what he knew when he was in Epstein's company, that noise has got so loud, and yet the royal family haven't necessarily stood up and responded to whether or not they believe that he should speak. So I think this statement is the closest you're potentially going to get, where they are saying the specific claims in question are for Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor to address. Of course, we wait to see whether or not he decides to take that action or not. Many people will point to that dreadful Newsnight interview that he did in 2019 and the fact that it was an absolute disaster. If he has lawyers around him, you wonder what advice they'd currently be giving him. There is jeopardy if he speaks or if he doesn't speak. If he speaks to the authorities, it may be seen that he is showing some kind of sympathy to the victims. If he speaks, though, he may also face more uncomfortable questions in public. But yeah, this statement from Buckingham Palace has come out of the blue. And as I said, it does feel like a new chapter in terms of communication and also the royal family just saying, look, we appreciate the noise around this and we appreciate that you expect us to speak up. And there you go. There's that statement from Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, and just before you go, Rhiannon, I mean, the obvious question, really, what do you think the chances are of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, as he's now known, actually, answering the questions of the authorities, whether at Congress or whether the police, the FBI, so forth? What do you think the chances are?
Do you know what? I've reported on this story for a very long time. Back in 2020, the US Justice Department were trying to get a mutual legal assistance treaty to encourage the UK authorities to help them to speak to Andrew as a witness. That kind of application failed. Also, I think you kind of need to look at the fact that at the moment there have not been any allegations that have hit the bar of criminality. Now, if that happens, then immediately it hits a red button in terms of the authorities being able to request that he speaks to them. At the moment, that hasn't been the case. And of course, we have to say that he has always vehemently denied any of the allegations against him. And certainly since the latest drop of these files, we haven't heard anything from Andrew or those who represent him. But yeah, there is, as I said, jeopardy. Does he speak and show some kind of sympathy towards the victims? Would that open him up to more questions that would be uncomfortable for him, but also for the royal family? And also, you have to remember, there are two distinctive sides to this story. I think for a very long time, people have been focused on the sexual nature of this story, inevitably because he was friends with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. But also, I think what we've seen today is the financial side of this story, what some would describe as the financial scandal. These emails that show that as a UK trade envoy, it appears that he may well have been passing information to the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Then, of course, there are other avenues where the likes of the police, the FBI may decide that they want to and need to speak to Andrew. And again, this is the problem for the royal family. There are so many aspects of this story which are so out of their control. But I think what they are trying to do is acknowledge that they realise that silence isn't enough. But also what they consistently keep doing is trying to bring this back to the victims. The latest statement saying Their Majesty's thoughts and sympathies have been and remain with the victims of any and all forms of abuse.
OK, Rhiannon, thank you very much. And it is an extraordinary statement. Let me just read it to you one more time. The King has made clear in words and through unprecedented actions his profound concern at allegations which continue to come to light in respect of Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor's conduct, while the specific claims in question are for Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor to address. If we're approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them, as you would expect. As was previously stated, Their Majesty's thoughts and sympathies have been and remain with the victims of any and all forms of abuse. That statement just in from Buckingham Palace.